Hi, today we will get to know how we can use parameters in Azure Data Factories. So first of all, let me introduce what Azure Data Factory does, and then we'll go ahead with a sample. So Azure Data Factory is a tool which allows you to do ETL or ELT, and ETL stands for extract, transform and load, and ELT is extract, load and transform. So you can use it for the big data component, or you can use for normal data transformation. Now there are few components which are very important for Azure Data Factories, that is source and sink. So before even going to source and sink, there is something called linked services. So linked services are nothing but the connections to the different sources which we see. So right now I have two connections here, that is blob connection and a SQL connection there. You can have numerous other connections. If you want to go through the connection list, you can try using new, and you can see all the options which are available in the sources. Now connections can be used by source and destination both. Second component here is the data sets. So data set is again the structural representation of the data which we are trying to obtain from a source or copying to a destination. And then we have a pipeline which allows your activities to be run on it. So now we are going to do a simple copy data activities. Now for that I have already created two databases, and in those two databases I have created a table called sales data. Now let's quickly go and see uh, what my sales data has. So now you see this sales data is completely empty, and we are going to parameterize our data factory just to make sure that we are able to connect to any of the destinations to move the data. In this example we are going to move the data from a blob source to a SQL Server destination. Now on the source I have already created a blob connection, so we'll quickly preview the data. Now this is what my data is, and as you can already see that on this data set I have created some of the parameters. So let's first go there to the connection string and what all steps we'll have to do to parameterize things. So on the connection strings you see I have created a new parameter called db name. I've put some one default database right now so that the connection should go successful. So we'll quickly test the connection. So this connection looks successful, and this is the place where we can change the database name. Now the same thing we can do with the server also, because you can see you have an option to add dynamic content there. Now we have added that parameter. Our next aim is to add the parameter to the data set. So let's quickly go there, and let's see the SQL destination. So on the SQL destination I have already created a parameter. This parameter is database name. Now since the data set connects through the connection string or the connections or linked services, what we'll have to do, we'll have to map the database data sets connection string to the linked services connection string parameter. So the dataset parameter, what we are going to do here, will map that parameter as db name, and this db name is nothing but your connection strings parameter. So what we are doing on the connection strings, that is the linked services parameter, we are mapping the datasets dot database name, the parameter of the data set. Now on the data set we have to map another parameter, and that parameter is again the parameter which will be supplied from the pipeline. So let's quickly go to the pipeline and see what parameter I have created. So you can see on the pipeline I have created a parameter called database, and this is where when you try to debug or try to put a trigger on, you can update this parameter anytime, and you can create multiple trigger with different database names as parameter, and then you can execute it. So what I have done, I have created this. Now I will go to the activity, that is my copy activity, and in the copy activity mapping, what we are going to do, we are going to again map this parameter to sync. So here you will see that the database name parameter, which was part of the data set, where I have mapped pipeline dot parameters dot the parameter which we are going to use. Now we'll simply go and debug. So we'll put one of the database name here. Let's copy this and execute this. So now while debugging, what we can do, we can use the database name and we'll pass that as a parameter here. So let's go pass the parameter, click OK, and then we start checking the pipeline. So you can see here that my pipeline is executing, and that is executing against this database. So let's quickly see which one is that, and we see the data has been copied here. Now this is still empty. So in the next run, what we'll do, we'll try to change this to the next database and see if my data gets copied there or not. So we are going to copy to this database, and then we execute it. It has started executing. Let's go to the other tab, and we see our data is here. So this is how we can work with Data Factory with parameterization.